around you.
I've seen that. So we're live now. I wanted to make sure that we went live at 12:30. So hello, everyone. We're talking green screens and diabetes today.
You never know what you're going to talk about when I'm on the call.
It's so
Right,
true.
Jerry?
So Dr. Burd is with us, the founder of Lsyulin and Dexcom. Donna Bernard is with us. Jerry Isaacs, the dream team, the sisters that are taking over Clubhouse. And of course, I'm Brianna, and I'm here every week with usually Dr. Burd, but sometimes we have different guests. And we're here to talk diabetes. We are all here representing Lsyulin. And I will let kind of everybody, I don't know, maybe we'll do a roundtable introduction. I'm not very important here. I'm just holding the space. I manage digital marketing for Lsyulin. And I'll let Dr. Burd, I'll let you kind of take the stage and tell us who you are and what you do.
So am I on?
You are. It's go time.
Okay, I'm John Burd. I'm the founder of Lsyulin. I was the founder of Dexcom a couple decades ago. And Lsyulin is a fabulous nutritional supplement for people with prediabetes and diabetes that has been proven in clinical studies to improve your insulin resistance and lower your A1C. It takes about a month for if you start using it to see the effect. And if you have type 1 diabetes, you can use the product, but I only recommend that if you have a continuous glucose monitor like a Dexcom sensor that has a hypoglycemia alarm so you don't get hypoglycemia. And you want me to tear into the subject for today's meeting right now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, well, let's say hi to Donna and Jerry. Let them introduce themselves real quick. Just so we can have some context around, why they're joining us. Obviously, they're both Lsyulin users, but the audience doesn't know that. So I want to make sure that we set the stage and that people watching understand that these are individuals who have experience with type 2 diabetes firsthand and are bringing that experience to the table. So Donna, welcome.
Hi, good morning, or depending where you are in the country. So I reached out to Dr. Burd. My husband is a type 1 diabetic for the past 25 years. And he's now on the Dexcom glucose monitor. And I met Dr. Burd because I sent him a LinkedIn message. It might be a year ago. Thank you for saving our lives, because people were injecting insulin without really knowing what their numbers were. And it's really hard to do that. It's like you're a bad chemist without any glucose monitor. So I reached out to say thank you. And he said, well, and here he answers me, I'm now working on Lsyulin to tackle type 2 diabetes. Now, type 2 diabetes runs on my side of the family. My father had it, my uncle had it, and both of my sisters have it. And I didn't, but my A1C numbers were creeping up. So I started taking Lsyulin. Now, the first time from a year, it went from 5.0 to 6.0. And now I'm down to 5.3. So I take the Lsyulin daily. And now they came out with a meal replacement or a meal supplement with Lsyulin. And I take that in the morning and bake it like a treat with ice and coffee and whatever. And so I've lost about almost 5 pounds now. So it's like a double treat. So that's why I'm, a big fan of Lsyulin and Dr. Burd, because, you're doing the right thing. Because a lot of people just want to put you on metformin and go your happy way. And I saw my doctor 2 weeks ago, and she's like, oh my God, you turned it around. And that's what I wanted to do, because once you cross the barrier, you're in all sorts of a journey. That's just a tough journey. So I was always mindful of it. So thank you. That's why I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And Jerry, I know you have a lot of personal experience with type 2 diabetes as well. So talk to me. What does that look like? What's your story?
Yeah, hi, thanks, Fran. My name's Jerry Isaacs. I'm from Nashville, actually from New York, living in Nashville. I'm a type 2. I think I was diagnosed like at least 25 years ago. And they said I had a little sugar in my blood, so okay. And I didn't know I had diabetes until I actually came to Nashville. Even though I was on diabetes medicine, no one liked to say that word. And that's changed, I think, a lot. But back then, it was hard. And, living in the family and not being able to eat everything, it was difficult. But a lot of different things happened, and I've lost weight, and my diabetes was under control until I turned 60. And there, everything changed. And I had to go back on medication, which I hadn't been on for like 10 years. And I had a hard time tolerating a lot of the medication. I have to say, I am on a medication. I'm on Trulicity. It's once a week, and it's great. But it took my A1C from like 7.2 down to maybe 6.2 or 3 or 4 sometimes. But once I started Lsyulin, which was about 6 months ago, Donna had introduced me to it and introduced me to Dr. Burd. And I honestly, it's been amazing because I'm like at 5.5 now, which I mean, I wish I could say I was on that without the Trulicity, but if I get much lower, I'm sure they will lower my how much Trulicity I take. So, and medications are really expensive. So it's a really great thing for me to be reducing it. And I've lost weight on it. Just taking the regular Lsyulin, it helps me. And I just think it's a great tool for a type 2 diabetic. I love the powder I take every morning. I enjoy the shakes. And even if I'm craving something in the afternoon, I'll grab a few tablets. I don't think it's going to hurt if I take a little extra Lsyulin. And I get down to the cube, take Lsyulin. It's like our candy. But like type 2 diabetes is not funny. It's too much of an epidemic in the country. So I'm happy to be here, and I love being part of this team and telling people how Lsyulin can help them.
Awesome. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us and for sharing some of your story. I mean, everybody comes to our group, the Facebook group, or follows the Facebook page, or finds us on YouTube with their own questions. So we do our best every week to address these issues that arise for people with type 2 diabetes and who are pre-diabetic. So Dr. Burd, today we're going to be talking about insulin, and insulin specifically prescribed when someone is diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I will let you take the stage and talk to us. You're the expert here, so I know you've got a lot to say on the topic.
Thank you very much, Brianna. Yes, I do. I have a story, or a stance, I guess, I take on people with type 2 diabetes and the use of insulin to treat that. And just as an aside, Jerry, I had forgotten, you mentioned that you are from New York, and you didn't find out you had diabetes until you moved to Nashville. And I was thinking, gee, you should have stayed in New York.
My husband's a musician. I had to come to Nashville. This is where the music is.
So anyway, back to the
yeah.
topic.
If I stayed in New York, I know I wouldn't have known I had diabetes, but I might have died from lose my legs and my eyesight. So
yeah. Anyway, back to today's topic about insulin and type 2 diabetes. When someone first gets diagnosed with diabetes, their doctor usually tells them, "Oh, you need to change your diet and you need to exercise more." Well, that usually doesn't work very well. So they say, "Okay, here, let me write you a prescription for some drugs." And normally today, that drug is metformin. And, that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work. And usually if it doesn't work very well, they do one of two things. They say, well, here, let me increase the dosage. And if that doesn't work, then they say, well, let's add another drug. So you're now got 2 prescription drugs you're taking. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't work. And all these drugs have side effects. And so it turns out that 33% of people with type 2 diabetes eventually get started on insulin. And for me, that is a huge tragedy because if you have type 2 diabetes, it means that you're insulin resistant. That is, your cells cannot take insulin or cannot take glucose properly into the cell. And that's what insulin does. It's the key that opens the lock to the cell that allows the glucose to get in there to produce the energy that we need every day. Well, glucose is toxic and it reacts with all the proteins in your bodies and it glycates them. And when you glycate them, they don't work right anymore. And both insulin and the insulin receptor on the cell get glycated. And when that happens, the key doesn't fit in the lock anymore. So you end up with high blood sugar levels, blood glucose levels. And that's why doctors then end up prescribing insulin shots. And that, that is just a terrible thing to do, in my opinion, because if you're insulin resistance, taking insulin shots isn't going to help that at all. It's just going to make it worse. So you end up having to take more and more and more insulin, and it works less and less and less. I mean, it's just you end up becoming really a drug addict where it's like heroin where you need more and more to get the effect. And you end up, just taking all those shots. Nobody likes to do that. And I think it's tragic because Lsyulin, a natural nutritional supplement, is the only product that has been proven to improve insulin resistance and lower the progression from pre-diabetes to type 2 diabetes. And if doctors would just prescribe a 2-month trial of Lsyulin, they could, the majority of people that are putting insulin would never have to take insulin. Lsyulin would do the job. But getting doctors to try nutritional supplements is really a chore because historically, supplements have got a bad name because guys like myself have made big claims like I'm making here today without any data. We have data. Lsyulin is built on a solid scientific foundation. I've got a PhD in biochemistry, and I know that it works, and we have clinical studies to prove it. So I just wish I could get the word out to doctors and to type 2 patients. Before you start insulin, stop and think and try Lsyulin. The majority of you will get a benefit and may never have to take an insulin shot in your life. So that's very briefly what I wanted to just talk about today. And we have a really nice little video. It's called The Cause of Insulin Resistance and Type 2 Diabetes that shows why Lsyulin works and how it can improve your insulin resistance and hopefully keep the majority of people with type 2 diabetes off of insulin. It's a big story, but getting the word out is really a chore. Like I said, because doctors love to write prescriptions, and you don't need a prescription with Lsyulin. You can buy it over the counter, Amazon and Walmart, and at our website. Okay, that's my pitch. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them. Yeah.
Brianna, Dr. Burd, part of my story that I didn't tell you, but I think it's pertinent, is what I had diabetes when I got to Nashville. I was also about 100 pounds more than I am now, and I did have weight loss surgery. And the minute I had weight loss surgery, when I woke up, the diabetes really was under control. I didn't need anything anymore. But before I had the weight loss surgery, I had it scheduled. And for some reason, I had come down with a very severe allergy to a medication. And that was like October. The operation had to be put off. And they took me off of all my medications to see what it was. It ended up being like my blood pressure medicine. But I had to come off of whatever they were giving me for diabetes at the time and go on insulin. And I had like a 2-month experience on insulin giving myself the shots, and I swore I would never gain that weight again and have to go on insulin, because I don't think most people have like, oh, that experience of going on insulin and then being able to come off of it. And it's a horrible thing. I totally agree. If you're having trouble with your medication, try Lsyulin. I wish I had known about it. I wish I had discovered it back then and I had known about it, because I definitely, it was, oh my God, it was a horror. It really
What year
was.
was that? What year?
What?
What year was that? What year was that?
Well, I had my surgery in 2000, so it was like 2006.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we didn't introduce Lsyulin until 2018, so it didn't exist. It wasn't on the planet yet. So.
No, it wasn't on the planet yet.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
so proud to be part of this, because I really did experience both, and I know what it was like. I don't even know. You have to be a mathematician to figure it out. Although thanks to Dr. Burd, there's Dexcom, so that's really a big improvement. So I with that.
And I want to add, because, Jerry, when my husband got that type 1 diabetes, he was like 39, so he was older. So already in the peak of his career, very stressed, running around, and you had the old, insulin that you always had to take and eat. And, I would tell my sisters or my family about when he would have a low blood sugar, what a seizure really looked like. And it wasn't until one day, years later, that we were at my sister's house, and he did have a seizure. And so it's one thing to say it's a seizure, and people go like, oh, but it was another thing to see what insulin actually does in your body when you go low and have that seizure. And by that time, I was so desensitized, like I was like, okay, you just go into survival mode, do this, and my family was like, and traumatized. And you realize that was criminal, putting insulin in your body without a meter, without knowing what you were doing. And when he first got diabetes, I went to, because I've always been in corporate sales, Becton Dickinson they have the big offices up here in Jersey. And they changed it since, but I was like walking into a museum with the most amazing artwork. And I remember thinking to myself, there will never be a cure because there's too much money in these goddamn needles. And I think they've taken the artwork down since. I think I've said it too many times. But yeah, it's criminal. And every person who has insulin should have a device. And actually, anyone who has type 2 should have a device, because it's your A1C is your average. So his doctor would say, well, oh, you're doing great. You have a 5.4 A1C. I was like, that doesn't make sense, because that's like the law of averages, right? Because that didn't take in his 30 and 200. And like this, it was like being on a roller coaster with him for many years. So, the A1C is like something good, but I'm a proponent really of the next step, because, that's my position, and and I'm staying with it.
Yeah, it most certainly. I mean, we hear these stories, and I think that the pharmaceutical industry, I mean, obviously there are many really good doctors out there that are trying to work hard and save lives and help people get to a better quality of life. But there is such a struggle getting a product like Lsyulin out into the public eye, because we are fighting against a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry surrounding just this one disease, right? Just this one condition. So I mean, all that we can do is take the small steps every day and tell these stories. That's the most important thing, is to share these stories and to build community and to get the word out there, because even just one life changed by not having to go on insulin is one life that has been made better for it. So thank you so much, Donna and Jerry, for sharing your stories. Dr. Burd, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I think we've covered it today, and we've talked about our latest Lsyulin product, which is our weight loss meal replacement shake. It comes in chocolate and vanilla, and both Donna and Jerry really like that and use it. And it has a day's worth of Lsyulin in one scoop, and you just mix it with 8 ounces of water, shake it up, and it's pretty tasty, and gives you your day's dose of Lsyulin. And it also offers weight loss, which it's known that meal replacement with low calorie, low carb meal replacement can give weight loss. So, and some people are seeing dramatic weight loss using it. So that's a great product that people should consider trying also. Thanks very much, Brianna.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us once again. As always, we appreciate your time and your expertise. And I look forward to seeing you next week, same place, same time. Ladies, we'll see you tomorrow on our team call. I hope everybody has an awesome day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.